I currently find myself married to someone who I thought God sent. Um, but as the relationship went on, I found out that all that it was just, lies to get me, basically trap me where I'm at. Um, he presented everything like, you don't have to work, you don't have to this, you don't have to that. And now I don't have a way out because I'm like literally stuck here. Um, but the more we got to know each other, his relationship with God isn't where I would like for it to be. And I find myself getting closer and closer to God, and that's pushing him further and further away, causing more turmoil. And I just feel like no matter what, this is not going to work. And I just feel so guilty about wanting to divorce, especially because everything you look up on Christian divorce and everything tells you don't do it. The husband is saved by the non-believer is saved by being married to the believer. And I'm like, okay, maybe if I just stay on my path, he'll be delivered by me. But it's like every time I try to bring up God, talk about God, it's like he gets angrier, he gets madder, and it just keeps like devolving, getting worse and worse. So like, you said you've been married before, and I'm just wondering, like, how do you go about, I don't know the question exactly, but dealing with the guilt of divorce, I guess.
And just to confirm, by the way, so how long you guys been married?
We've known each other for 24 years. We've been in a relationship for about 10 years, but married for 8.
Okay. And he has never believed in God at any point of your relationship?
He led me to believe that he did in the beginning. He even fasted with me. He grew up in church. He grew up Catholic, but he said once he got older, he didn't want to go to church anymore because his mom used to drag him to church all the time. And now he's an adult. He feels like he should be able to do what he wants to do, but you should want God. It's not a duty.
And do you guys have do y'all have children?
Not together.
Okay. You both have children separate?
Yeah.
Okay. And do y'all have conversations about what y'all should, how y'all should, or what y'all are going to teach your children spiritually?
Oh, those are just big arguments because I don't do Halloween. I don't do like the secular holidays, and he wants to, and that turns into an argument. I wind up compromising, trying to please him. He compromises a little. Neither one of us are happy. So anytime I do take the time to teach them like spiritually, he's like jumping in and, sprinkling a little bit of secular on it,
So I want to ask you this, Tiff, because this is always a tricky conversation, especially, for the real by the book Christians, because, I read Matthew and Christ pretty much was clear. If it ain't sexual immorality, that's really the only clear grounds for divorce, right, if we really going by the book. Right. So how do we handle, these situations where we have these, areas like hers where we're not spiritually aligned in this way, and we're already in, 7-8 years now in marriage?
Yeah.
Is that grounds for divorce?
No, but here's what I learned.
To all my soldiers, we are knee deep in spiritual warfare, and Hardly Initiated has created some additional armor for the fight. The Fight the Flesh bracelet is a stylish reminder to stay disciplined in the face of battle and temptation. So click the link in the description and get yours today. And don't forget, use code CLIPS for 10% off. Let's fight.
When I got married the second time, I was in the space where you were. I was desperate to get away from that man. I wanted a divorce so bad. I was talking to God. I was trying to make a deal with God. Okay. I was going to God in prayer like, God, if you just let me out of here, I won't do this no more. I won't do this no more. But I came to realize that the man was married to who I was, and God wanted me to become who I am. If I died to who I was, then I will lose him. Either I will win him with my behavior, which is what the Bible said, either that or he would flee, which the Bible said if the unbeliever want to depart, let him depart. And so when I tried to leave the traditional way, God wouldn't let me. When I tried to leave, when I was trying to catch a ride home, because we had one car, I was trying to find somebody to give me a ride. I wanted anybody to just come pick me up so I can get away from this guy. And I couldn't explain it in words because I was like, I'm not dealing with abuse. I couldn't explain it in words, but it was no connection. Like I knew this man didn't love me. This man didn't love God. It was so frustrating. And then at the same time, he had a relative that was in our business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so this is what God did with me. He made me study God, not focus on the marriage, not focus on the man. What you're supposed to do outside the marriage, he makes you do in the marriage. So in the outside the marriage, he says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. I had to do that in the marriage. Like I had to die to Tiffany, the Tiffany that he married. That girl, I had to kill her. I had to die to the girl with the voids. I had to die to the girl with the insecurities. I got to a space where I could tell when I was dying, I had to stop arguing with him. I stopped complaining about the stuff that he was doing. And I focused my attention on reading the Bible, praying. I found myself on my face every day praying, every day reading my Bible, every day talking to God, being honest with God, telling God where I was, telling God how much, I remember conversations I would have with God. I would stay up all night, which is what I still do. I have a habit of working overnight. And I remember I would be in there washing the dishes. I remember one time I was washing the dishes and I said to God, God, this man doesn't love me. He doesn't care anything about me. He only wants what he can get. And God said, I know how you feel. God kept hitting me with that because he was showing me that everything I complained about that man is what I was doing to him. And so when I said, God, this man would much rather talk to other people than to spend time with me, God said, I know how you feel. God was the accountability. He was hitting me with that. And I would stop right there and start apologizing. I started repenting. I said, God, I'm so sorry if I've done this to you. I'm so sorry for every time I've done this to you to set me free. And as I was doing that, the relationship between me and that guy began to heal and break at the same time. Heal, whereas I started looking at him more so about I want him to get saved. But it started to break because light and darkness cannot coexist. A house divided can't stand. And which is why that's the prefix of divorce, which is why the word divorce keeps populating in your mind, is because I don't feel a connection. I don't feel like I got a husband. I feel like a single woman who is in captivity to somebody that, we got titles or what have you, and I want to experience this. And so the thing that I would advise you to do, take this time. And Matthew 6:33 is always my go-to. Take this time to put God as your world. I'm talking about, if you have a good church, ask God to send you to a church. Don't just walk into a church. Get into a good church. If a good Christian community, make God your everything. Don't complain about the guy anymore. Let God take you through the healing. Let God take you through the deliverance, and say yes to the assignment on your life. Just keep saying yes and let him do. And what happens is either you will win him with your behavior, which is what the Bible says, because your behavior changes, right? Because in the beginning, when you're with somebody that you don't want to be with, I know how it's like. It's like, okay, listen, I want to tell him off. I want to tell him, leave me alone. I want to say something for him to just go ahead and leave me alone. But then you have to become that wife to him. That means that I got to show him the love like he is the right one. All right. I got to show the respect. I got to show the honor, because I'm doing it as unto God. I'm going to do everything as unto God. And then either he'll be one with the behavior, or in most cases, he's going to say, hey, I can't deal with this. I don't want this no more. And in that case, God said, if the unbeliever want to depart, let them depart. And then you have your freedom. So it's not about getting freedom from him. It's about getting freedom from any mindset that led you to him. Does that make sense? It's about getting freedom from every belief system, every insecurity, every fear, all rejection, abandonment. Is getting free from that. Once you get free from that, and because you put God number one, everything else will fall into line.
That's good game.
That's about as good as it's gonna get there. Ryan,
otherwise, she end up in the same situation.
Look like you just dropped the poll here.
Yeah, I just dropped the poll. We just keeping 1,000 in the chat, and I wanted to get an idea what the Nishias think about this. Shout out to Talise for having the courage to come up and share her testimony. But
courage in the chat. Drop it in the chat.
Should Talise leave her 8-year marriage? I got two options. It's time to walk away. Second option is she should stay.
And just to be very clear with you, I think because the feedback you gave, you were erring more on the side of she should not leave quite yet.
Yeah, it shouldn't be focused on divorcing him because the problem still exists in itself.
She walk into the same situation.
Right.
It sounds
you
like.
walk into the same situation. You every time a woman comes out of something, or a man, and they come out of something, they always go back into the same thing. Always, they never feel. And so one thing I've learned is all about divorcing the old mentality. Anybody attached to that mentality will fall away. And so if it's, hey, he's annoying to me, he's not serving God, then we don't have that legal premise to say, hey, I can't be here. But I learned it's all about becoming a light. And so I want you to think of a drunk man. If you turn the lights on in the drunk man's room, guess what he gonna do? Scream and cuss you out, because now you're becoming a light. So the goal is to become that light, to become that light of Christ in that house. It's to study the word. It's to go deep into that word and to find your peace within yourself, and find that peace with you and God, and have that relationship with you and God, where you're dating God, you're spending time with God, you're going to church, you're serving God, you're doing all of that stuff. And if that man is of the enemy, if he's like a narcissist that the enemy threw at her, he's gonna flee. He's gonna flee, or God will give her a green light. It could be adultery or what have you, but God will give her a green light to get out of it. But the objective is never to divorce the person unless there is abuse or adultery. The objective is always to die to self. If you die to self, everything else falls in place.
Thank you for giving that feedback, because a lot of the ladies in the chat, they can be trigger happy on that divorce.
Oh yeah,
they trigger happy on that divorce.
well,
they say, you ain't happy? Leave them.
No, well,
that's all they need to hear.
Well, listen. No, well, check this out. The initiates should Talise leave her 8-year marriage. It's time to walk away, and she should stay. It looks like they said the exact opposite. 63% of the initiates say she should stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.